Episode 28. Santa on Zoom. Introducing, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Father Christmas, on the BTS Creative Academy podcast, with me, your host, Martin Colton.
Hello, Martin.
Hello, Santa.
It was so nice of you to prepare everything for me. It's almost like you were waiting for me.
Hello, Santa.
I'm not in the way, am I? You're not waiting for another guest, are you?
Not at all. I presume you're hoping to be a guest on the podcast.
Well, if it's not too much to ask for. After all, I have been known to be a little bit creative over the years.
No, this is very nice, magical. Thank you for joining me on
It's
the
quite
podcast.
all right. The elves are big fans of the show.
You've been listening, have you?
Oh, well, yes, there's a few, yes, we've been listening to. They're always keen to listen out on creative things. They
No.
put a little search thing in their browsers, you see, and make sure that they're not missing out on any creative tricks, you see. They're always making things, whether that's musical objects or the latest gadgets and things like that.
So tell me, Santa, what have you been up to this year? What have you been up to recently?
Oh, it's been very busy. You see, every year we always wonder if next year's not going to be quite as good, because the amount of children who stop believing in Santa Claus and everything Christmassy and things like that, we always worry that that's going to affect things, because the only way I can get around the whole world and all of the elves get to do what they do and how we can hide everything in the North Pole without anyone seeing and flying over, well, we need magic for that.
Right, okay.
And the magic is all in the belief of Christmas. So as the children believe and get excited for Christmas, have you seen something called the Aurora Borealis?
I've heard of it. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, so it's the Northern Lights, it's always known as well. And what that actually is that's all the magic of children believing in Christmas, all drifting off into the North Pole.
Right.
Where we gather it and we utilise it so we can make sure the reindeer are flying at the speed that it needs to go at, because we have to get around the whole world in 24 hours.
Wow, how do you manage that? Getting around the world in 24 hours?
Well, you see, what we have to do is we have to slow down time. Yes? So we're flying at quite a normal speed, because some people say I fly at something like 1,000 miles per second. Well, goodness me, my hat would definitely come off if we were flying at that speed. Oh, yes. There'd be Santa hats all over the world. No, so we have to slow down time. I've got a special magic watch. And that slows everything down, you see, so we can nip around and fly about and get around the whole world in one night. And there's a special button on there as well, which is very, very important. And that definitely needs to work, because that button enables me to squeeze down chimneys or get through letterboxes or keyholes if parents haven't left out magic keys for me.
Oh, dear. So you're a very unique guest on the show, and normally...
thank you very much.
Normally I'd be sat here asking... I've got tons of questions I want to ask you,
yes.
but you're someone that's got a great insight into me, I would guess, into
yes.
everyone.
Well,
So-
that's very true.
Yes.
And you were a very, very creative child.
Okay, yes.
And I see you still love Superman.
I do, very much
yes.
so, yes.
Oh, the Superman toys we've given you over the years, bless you. Well, of course, I used to visit you because you originally were living in a little country town called Theydon Boys, weren't you?
Yes, I grew up in a little village, yes, you remember, yes.
Very nice, yes. Oh, so lovely, especially when all the snow's lying on the trees. You're all surrounded by the forest there as well, aren't you?
So over the years, I know that you've obviously seen me being a good boy.
Yes.
Have you seen the good that I've been trying to do?
You see, I have my spies all around everywhere, you see.
Right, okay.
And obviously parents being one of my key allies in getting the information to me, which is very,
Being a
very
parent
important.
myself, I'm often on call to you, aren't I?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Like, I do remember one time I had to speak to Alex about dropping a laptop. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
And he was very, goodness me, he was very sorrowful. Yes. So, yes, it's amazing the sway that Santa Claus can have with children.
And how does that feel to hold so much responsibility?
Oh, well, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, as they do say. It all depends on how you wield it, you see. So most of the time, I try to use it for sort of gentle encouragement, you know, trying to eat a few more carrots now and again, try to be a bit more kind and good, tell the truth, things like that. Look after yourself and look after those around you. But there are some times where I've had children who are very, very nervous. So the parents have asked me to speak to them about something, like they're about to go for a big operation. And so I've been able to speak to some children and just alleviate some of their fears. Telling them things like, it's often the anticipation of the event which is greater than the event itself. Maybe you've been doing your little thoughts of the day, haven't you?
Yes, that's right. Yes,
Maybe you could use that as a thought of the day.
Oh, that's a nice one.
I'll give you that. There's a little present from me.
Thank you, Santa.
Wonderful.
Thank you. You do give such wonderful gifts.
Well, thank you very much. We do try, you see. The elves have been working very hard so far this year. We started just in May. We give them a few months off because it is a bit full on.
Right, okay.
And so we get all the sort of like the dolls and the bicycles and the standards out of the way to begin with, because they're very popular, and we know we're going to shift through quite a few of those. And I don't mean to stereotype, but there's a lot of pink bikes and there's a lot of red bikes and a lot of blue bikes, and we leave a few bikes to one side just in case somebody asks for a colour that we're not expecting. But obviously the letters they're not coming in just yet.
Right, okay.
So I would probably anticipate they'll start round about November the 6th.
That's about when they begin to come in, is it?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And what's the best way for them to send a letter to you these days?
Oh, well, goodness me. Let's see. Well, there's the good old-fashioned write a letter, write Santa Claus or Father Christmas, the North Pole, and you can pop it in the fire if you've got a
You can build a fire, can you? Is that okay to do?
Well, yeah, if you've got like a log burner.
Okay.
Something like that. You might be very old-fashioned, still have like an open fire.
Okay, yes.
Depending on maybe the grandparents or if you live in a big farmhouse or something like that. And yes, you pop it in and whoop up the chimney. It'll catch on the breeze along with the Aurora Borealis back up to the North Pole.
Lovely, okay. So that's
magical, put it all back together.
And what do we do if we didn't have a fireplace? Because I don't have a fireplace in my home. How else could I get in touch with you?
Well, there is something I started recently.
Oh, go on, tell me.
Since the pandemic. So normally, around Christmas time, I try and dot around every now and again and get around the world and meet as many children as I possibly can to find out what they want for Christmas. Well, when the pandemic hit, I know I'm terribly sorry about using that word. I don't like saying that word. But it did shut everything down a little bit. So the elves, I've got one of my technical elves. He's called Ash. Yes, nothing to do with the sort of like the burning of the letters or anything. But he helped me set up a thing called Zoom.
Zoom?
Yes, Zoom. Wow. Yes, which is normally what I do when I'm in the sleigh. We go and Zoom off, yes. But no, apparently this was some sort of video calling system.
Right, yes, I have heard of it, yes.
Yes. So he set me up with everything. And now, if children want to speak to me, they can have a video call with me.
Wow.
Yes.
That's rather advanced for
I'm-
someone of your age, if you don't mind me saying so.
Well, thank you very much. How old do you think I look?
Oh, I'd guess late 30s, early 40s.
Oh, you are very funny, aren't you, Martin?
30 or 40, 100 years maybe? Is that where we're more
Well,
breaching
now
into?
you're just being insulting.
Oh, sorry. I don't mean to be insulting.
Well, I'm a little shy over 1,700.
Wow.
Yes.
So you have some experience.
Oh, yes, I have lots of experience.
And so this
yes.
really is this going on Zoom to communicate with the children of the world.
Oh, yes.
Is a really new thing for you.
Absolutely, and
Yes.
the beautiful thing is that they don't have to worry about going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They can just stay at their home. I've been speaking to children all over the world. People in the Philippines, in Manila. I had a lovely chat with a little girl in Peru on that first year. And yes, so it's...
So they just go on to Zoom and type Santa. How does that
Oh,
work?
well, I've been learning about things called domains.
Domains.
Domains, yes. Now, normally, back in the old day, a domain was somewhere you lived.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently it's got something to do with like a www.
Okay,
Address. So it's www. How many W's did I
Just
say
free,
there?
just the three W's.
All right, okay, yeah. So
let's start again.
www. Santa,
Mm-hmm.
that's me, on Zoom, which is what I'm doing, .co.uk.
Okay. Just for anyone that's just listening in, I do know you made a small mistake in there. After the www, you do need to put a dot.
Oh, do I? Right,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
all right.
So would you like to repeat that?
All right, so www.
Yes.
Santa on Zoom .co.uk.
Just one more time for clarity.
Goodness me, are you hard of hearing, Martin?
I am a little.
You've got your headphones on, I suppose. Are they on?
They are on, but
they
I do-
got like noise cancelling.
I do know I spoke over you. on that
Right,
one,
okay, right, sorry, yeah. So let me just count the amount of W's I'm getting right here. So we www. Yes, Santa on Zoom .co.uk. Yes.
Wonderful. So once they're on your website, what do they then? What do they have to
they
do
just
there
have
from
to
there?
decide whether they want me to speak to a single child or a family of children or even a classroom of children.
Wow.
Yes, and then they can select on the what are they called? Products, I think they're called. Yes, and then the calendar will come up, and you can choose whatever slots are available. We do sell out quite quickly, so I definitely would recommend if people are listening. I don't know when this might air, but if it's airing fairly early, I'm getting quite quickly. And if you're airing it fairly lately towards Christmas, well...
Apologies.
that's quite all right, because hopefully I'll be very, very busy. Well, hopefully I'm always very busy.
Yes, of course. And they could always send you a message, couldn't they, as well, through the website if they'd like to discuss
the ability
anything with you?
to send messages through the website, yes.
Wonderful.
But when they make a booking, any parents will get a little email. Yes, email, goodness me, from the elves asking a few questions. Because the one thing that I think makes the magic of Christmas even more alive is when I can prove to the children I already know everything about them.
Wonderful.
And of course, like I said earlier, one of my key allies are the parents, and so I get to ask the parents a few questions and find out a bit of information and things like that. But yes, it's really lovely, very, very nice. I do love it because people, I think I spoke to one grown-up who contacted me afterwards asking how it all went. And apparently... I did tell Mrs. Claus, she did laugh. Apparently, I'm a little bit more relaxed when I'm at home.
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, I always feel I'm quite relaxed most of the time, really.
So tell me a little bit more about the feedback that you get from some of these people from afterwards once they've spoke to you on Santa on Zoom.
Oh, well, sometimes I get messages from parents saying that, they thought this might be the last Christmas, that they might be able to to speak to me on, but I've definitely managed to persuade a few children who were on the cusp of non-believers really believing quite firmly once again.
I guess as they go into the teenage years, they start to feel that magic is a bit silly, don't they, for some strange reason?
Well, they do, yes. They get very self-conscious, don't they, about all sorts of things, about how people think about them. And
It's a very difficult world to be a teenager, isn't it? So
Well,
holding on
yes.
to the magic there can be difficult.
Yes, true. Well, all of this sociable media and things like that, with your face Twitter and things, and all the other bits and bobs, and everyone's got an opinion apparently.
So have you got any advice as to ways to keep the magic alive at Christmas time?
Oh well, I think the thing is, you have to remember that it's all about the giving and not the receiving. And you need to be excited for other people about what they are going to receive. And, it's time for families to come together and for bygones to be bygones and generally for everyone to have a lovely, lovely time. And I think if people try not to worry about being too busy, I must go and see this person for Christmas. I must make sure that I do this and this and this before then. And don't worry about it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you've got another 364 days of the year to go and see them. It's. I think there's a lot of pressure put on people, quite unnecessarily. But I think really just remember the true spirit of Christmas, and that's about peace and love, and about harmony across the world. There was a very, quite recently really, probably a little bit before your time, 1914, but there was a wonderful occasion where there were two groups of soldiers, and they put all down their weapons, and they had a game of football. They let bygones be bygones for that one day of Christmas. And it was very touching. It was such a shame that, the rest of the war didn't carry out and was all resolved there by a game of football, really.
Yes, that would have been nice.
That would have been
but
lovely.
But it's nice to have that moment of peace.
Absolutely.
At Christmas time, isn't
Yes,
there?
the world has become a very, very busy, noisy place. There's lots of things going on, I'll tell you something. There's a lot of debris up in the outer atmosphere floating around. All these
Really?
Space exploration things and people going up and leaving bits of engine behind and things like that, and bits of rocket.
Yes, of course.
And when I'm flying around, you have to do a little bit of dodging around, yes.
So have you got a message then for people leaving their rubbish about? Is that?
Well, I think make sure you look after the world before you start trying to explore other planets, basically.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's a very good idea. Definitely big on recycling, especially at the North Pole. We'll make sure that we reuse everything we can. You don't see landfill sites in the North Pole, do you?
No,
No, you don't.
Of
That's
course.
because we're very good at recycling. I mean, it does help that I get to use a bit of magic now and again. But between the North Pole and Lapland, which is often where we get a lot of our wood from, we're very responsible in making sure if we're using trees, we're definitely replanting, and we try and plant as many trees as we use. In fact, I think actually we're trying to plant more at the moment.
Wonderful.
Because, yes, we would try and let the trees be the lungs of the planet and try and clean up a little bit of the air, which is got a little bit smoggy.
So is that kind of like a legacy that you wish to leave on this planet? Is the longevity and the caring for future generations?
Absolutely. And as I said before, every year becomes a little bit trickier because you think, are people going to stop believing in Christmas and me? And if that happens, then eventually my magic will run out and I will disappear. And I think the planet would be a very dark place without Santa and without Christmas. And I think we need to make sure that we keep everyone's hopes alive, yes? There's always things we can aim towards, and try and achieve. And looking after the planet should definitely be one of them.
Yes, and how do you feel about commercialism around Christmas time? Because there is an awful lot of pressure to spend large amounts of money. There's lots of advertising by some big companies putting the pressure on families to part with money around this time of year. And some people find that they spend too much money at Christmas time that then leaves them in a difficult place for the rest of the year.
Well,
and how do you feel about that?
It makes me very, very sad. Very, very sad. Yes, I do understand the pressures of, keeping up with the neighbours and things like that. And when children have things and other children want the things that other people have got, and there's a big pressure of keeping up with everyone and having the latest technology and the biggest toys and even down to like the biggest meal on Christmas Day. There are some people who buy like a turkey and a gammon and all sorts of things, and there's only sort of like 4 of them in the family. There's no need to buy all of that because so much gets wasted. But it's all about, whether they can get the nice photographs for showing off on everything, and it's not really necessary, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, what do I want for Christmas? And more often than not, Mrs. Claus, she knits me some socks, some fresh socks, one of the things I like to do is get home. Mrs. Claus has run me a lovely big hot bath with Epsom salts, which is very good for the muscles.
Of course, yes.
And I have a lovely great big mug of cocoa. And then I have a lovely sleep, because obviously I've been working very hard. And then when we wake up, me and all of the elves get together and have a lovely Christmas lunch. And that is my favourite bit of Christmas, is having everyone around me who I love and care about. And I think, possibly going back to what I said earlier, I think that really needs to be the focus of Christmas. Are you happy? Yes. Is your belly full? Yes. Lovely. And are the people around you who you care about also happy? Yes. And as long as those 3 things are ticked, then I think that's a pretty successful Christmas Day.
Wonderful. I do actually have a concern around Christmas that I was hoping to ask you about. Might be a tough one to answer.
Oh, right, okay.
But I asked you, have I been good this year? But I also worry about the times when I have been bad. So how does Santa feel about that at the times when I haven't been such a good boy?
Well, so every year what we have is we have a little scale.
Mm-hmm.
And as the name comes through, we look at the scale and see which way it's tipped. And if it's tipped more onto the good, then goody. And if it's tipped slightly more onto the bad, well, we have a look at just how bad you've really been.
Mm.
And if you've been really, really awful, well, then I'm afraid you probably won't get much apart from a piece of coal and maybe a half-eaten sprout.
So there is still, if I have done some things that are slightly wrong, yes, or I've upset some people maybe along the way, I've still got time to put that right and weigh out the balance.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
because we double check those names, you see.
That's why you double check.
Oh yes, that's what. Yes.
I heard that in a song that you check them twice.
It slipped out somehow quite a few years ago. But yes, that's why we check everything twice, you see.
Right.
Because we always, you should always give people an opportunity to put things right if they've been naughty. Like, for instance, as I was saying, I was talking to your son when he was younger about dropping a laptop,
Yes,
and I could see the sorrow in his eyes, and it wasn't really his fault, and so the scale after that.
So sorry can be enough to bring the balance back.
True remorse goes a very, very long way. But it has to be heartfelt.
Right. That's
Absolutely,
the key.
Yes. Sorry is a very easy word just to utter. To truly mean it with your very heart and soul is a very special thing.
Oh, well, Santa, you've really put my mind at rest, and you've really made me look forward to Christmas this year.
Oh, goody!
I do appreciate it.
Yes.
I tell you one thing, I promise you that, and I think you know this, that I've never lost the magic of Christmas.
Oh, absolutely.
And I never will do.
And that is quite a wonderful thing. And there are many, many grown-ups just like you, Martin, as well.
Good.
And I think it's very, very, very important. And for those who feel that Santa is not real or feels a little bit foolish, I had one parent who told me recently that their daughter has grown up to the point where she doesn't quite believe in me the same way that she used to. We'd have wonderful conversations. I'd see her with her nine and tide. That's Welsh for grandma and granddad.
Ah, okay.
Wonderful conversations. But yes, she's got to a point now where she's got to that age where other children have been telling her that I'm not actually real. But her mother told her something which was wonderful. And that is, no matter how old you are, and whether you believe or not, there is a little bit of Santa inside everyone.
That's really wonderful to hear.
Oh, yes.
The magic's that there within inside all of us. So, Santa.
Yes.
Have you, having known me all these years,
all your years,
all my years, of course, yes. You've known me all my years. What would you say about what I'm trying to do at the moment with the podcast? You said you and the elves have been listening in on the podcast.
Yes, it's wonderful, yes. And I love the way that you've been touching on things about people's creativity and stuff. Because the elves do try and test, they try to push themselves, you see. And they want to know, right, what sort of thing can we do that's better and bigger or even easier? Sometimes we've been doing things a certain way for a very long time. And all it takes sometimes is a new elf to come along and look at it and go, why are you doing it this way? Surely if you did it that way, it would be much easier and simpler. And I think that is possibly what we like about your podcast, is making people think about just why they're doing things or how they're going about doing those things. And I think that's quite wonderful.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. I really do appreciate that.
Oh, it's quite all right, Martin.
Your insight. And what are you doing that's creative within your life at the moment?
Oh, well, I always make sure that I'm hands-on when it comes to decorating the main tree in the workshop, because we try and have a little theme. Last year, it was gold and black. It went to a vote. I was more than happy to go with the pure white against the green of the tree, but no, there was a vote. We always make sure it's very, very democratic, you see. So we always have a bit of a vote. So far this year, we've got blue sparkles in the running for the Christmas decorations on the tree. When do you put your tree up?
Oh, early December.
Right,
yes.
okay.
Around 1st of December is the weekend nearest to the beginning of December.
Oh, right, okay. We normally do it at the end of October.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Just because it really gets everyone ramped up, you see. Especially because when the letters start coming in around about the 6th of November, that's...
the magic and the spirit of Christmas is in full flow.
So it's all about sort of getting all the right things in the right order and all the planning. Anyway, so yes, so we've got blue sparkles. We've got pink this year as well. And one elf, and I don't know where this come from, because we're going to have to do a lot of painting of decorations in order to do this. They wanted a pride tree.
Okay.
I think that's rather marvellous. I did have to ask what that was. They told me it was lots of letters. I can't remember the exact order of them, but yes, so we're going to have lots of a rainbow, a cornucopia of colour.
And what does that mean to you, being able to represent a community?
What sort of community?
You're saying about you've got the pride part of the community within the elf culture.
Well, I embrace all communities. It's never really been a question for me. When I was very young and living, because I originally from Crete, you see, born as a boy, man and boy. And as I've travelled around the world and the legends that have been sprouted from my good actions, from Germany and from Holland as well. They were big on the Sinterklaas, which is why when a lot of the New Amsterdammers moved over to America and set up New Amsterdam. You probably know it now as New York. But yes, so that's where Santa Claus came from, the term. I'm Father Christmas to quite a few, Ded Goroz in Russia, Sinterklaas to a lot of people. And so as I've travelled around, I've just embraced every community and everybody. Like I say, if you love somebody and they are loved, then what's the problem? There really isn't much more to say than that, to be quite honest. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, whatever colour skin you have,
whatever sexuality you have.
Well, yes, that as well.
Yes,
yes, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Are you a nice person? Lovely. Do you love the people around you? Very nice. Do you take care of your environment around you? Fabulous. There's nothing more really to say than that.
And all of those things will weigh out on the good scale.
Absolutely,
I am
yes.
understanding it now.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So can you tell me a little bit more about where you started to touch on there from where you come from? Can you give me a little bit of an insight into your history?
Well, I don't want to... there's been lots of things written about me over the years, lots of things that are not at all accurate, but some things that are quite close to the knuckle. And I'm wondering if some of the elves have been telling a few tales about me to people. But yes, so I come from a Greek Orthodox background originally as a child. And as I got older and realised how little people had around me and how I tried to make everything better, and I would leave little presents for people. And then as things kind of progressed and I was able to utilise transportation to get about a bit easier. The reindeer are very much the last sort of 500 years. That was quite a neat sort of accident, to be honest. So, basically, we had some magic wood that we were growing to make some really smart yo-yos. They could fly around and do all sorts of things. And the thing with deer is they do have a habit of chewing bark. And I don't know if there's any foresters who might be listening, but they'll corroborate that. And what happened is the magic was imbued in the reindeer. And we sort of gathered them around as if to say, now look what you've done to our trees. We tried to make them understand what they'd done. Well, as we were kind of talking, I noticed 3 of them were levitating in the air. And I was like, goodness me, what's happened here? And fortunately, I do have a few elves that speak reindeer. I've picked up the reindeer as the years have gone on, so I can communicate with them perfectly fine now. But yes, the magic in the bark of the trees that we were growing got into the reindeer, and that's been it, really. It was a wonderful, wonderful accident, but it's been something that really enabled us to move forward at that time, and to be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. But yes, so as I got older, and I did get old, and there was a moment where it was either I decided to leave this current plane of existence, but there was too many children believing in me by then. And so what happened is I kind of had a metamorphosis into this current state of being. Although the current state of being really is down to Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I
Did you drink too much?
No. No. So originally I had a green suit. But then Coca-Cola decided to put me in their colours in an advertising campaign. And so I looked odd because they were so good at spreading the image out of me in my red and white suit that I had to ask Mrs. Claus for a little bit of a wardrobe update.
So what colours were you before?
Green.
Green?
Yes, green.
Wow.
Yes, because I lived a lot in the woods, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I was younger, well, I say younger than I am today, but I was, delivering presents, but very much in sort of, whilst, yes, I went into the cities, but cities weren't quite so big back then. So I was often visiting people in the countryside and in villages and things like that, which are often being surrounded by trees. So,
and isn't that, bringing it back to the topic of the podcast, isn't that a great example of how someone's creative vision, an artist redrew you in their image?
Absolutely.
That it actually, just through one sketch, changed the world, through one drawing.
The power of marketing, I suppose, isn't it?
Yes.
How a good word gets around.
Mm.
Yes.
And are you sponsored by Coke these days?
No.
No.
Oh, goodness, no. Absolutely not.
So how much do you get paid to do this job?
Paid? I get paid in kind. I get paid in love. I get paid in the reaction of the children as they open the presents in the Christmas morning. Oh no, I do this for love. I don't seek any monetary gain from this.
So tell me more then about why you do this.
Because there are some children out there who have very little. They have darkness in their life. And if I can be that little beacon of light, that little bit of hope, that no matter what happens, there's always Christmas Day to look forward to, then that's payment enough for me. I would love to make sure that every child in the world wanted for nothing. And sadly, that is not the case. I can only be around as much as I am able to. And even though I can kind of get some grown-ups to dress up as me and speak to children and try and help that way, which I'm very, very grateful for, and because I couldn't be everywhere all at once. I think there's a film of that, isn't there? Anyway, so I do need help, and yes, it's never been about sort of the payment. It's always about the reaction, and I think, as I said earlier, that's really what Christmas should be about.
That sounds wonderful.
Well, thank you very much.
And how do you like to be called? Is it Father Christmas, Santa, Saint Nick,
Chris? Kringle, yes.
You will go by many names.
I go by many, many names. Yes, I try not to go by the Russian one, really, because if you shorten that, I'm just dead. Yes, so that's not so keen on that one. But Santa. Santa is pretty good. Yes, Father Christmas. Yes, there's a good good sign of I think it's called Makaton, of Father Christmas. And there's a few different things. So you could have Father Christmas, and Christmas is very, very good because apparently it's to do with the reindeer landing on the roof. So you've got the roof goes at a slant, and then the reindeer land on it. So you've got Christmas. Yes, so that's Makaton for Christmas.
Wonderful. So was there some sign language? You know sign language, do you?
I have been known to sign, yes.
You do?
Yes.
So is there a message to anyone that you could give out there to say Happy Christmas to through sign language?
Yes,
could you do that?
So where am I looking?
There's cameras right there.
Hello. Yes, so Happy Christmas. Yes.
Wonderful.
Simple as that.
Lovely.
So What are you going to have for Christmas this year, Martin?
Well, I hope a nice, happy family Christmas.
Lovely.
At that point of my life where Chris, I have learnt that it's not about the gifts; it's about spending time with family and loved ones.
Absolutely.
So that's all I'm looking forward to this year.
And have you written your list out?
List? No, I don't do a list anymore.
That's good.
Don't do a list. Yeah,
You're just grateful for whatever you receive.
that's what I found is the best way to be.
As also, it's going to be a surprise
Exactly.
as well.
I do enjoy a good surprise.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's fabulous. Lovely. Well, now, will you be leaving the window open again for me this year?
Oh, always. Always, you know the best way in. Now, before I get the feeling like you might be rushing off, because I know you're a very busy man.
Well,
and you're in the process of just about to build up to Christmas. But before you go, have you got any lasting words of wisdom, of magic, of hope that you could leave us with before you go?
Goodness me. Oh, well, I suppose look after each other. Look after yourself. That's very important. If you can look after yourself, then you can live a nice, long, healthy life. And with a nice, long, healthy life, you can do many wonderful things during it. So look after yourself and look after others around you. And as we go back to what I said earlier, and look after the planet. Yes.
Good advice, Father Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Martin.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time. I know
you.
you've been very busy. There's probably somebody waiting to be interviewed in a moment.
Well,
I've been taking up their time.
I don't know where we are in this magical realm, but I am feeling quite sleepy.
Good. You go back to sleep.
I can go back to sleep, can I?
Yes.
And you'll see yourself out.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing you Christmas Eve. Goodbye, Father Christmas.
Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. Boop-a-doo, I do love it. Goodbye, everybody. Merry Christmas.
That was the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. I appreciate you joining us for this conversation. If you'd like to drop into more conversations, just search the BTS Creative Academy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And to make sure you don't miss any future episodes, don't forget to like and subscribe.